In this video, you will learn how to make money in Slime Rancher. In this game, you raise these adorable little guys and then sell their floors for money. And you need the money to buy ranch extensions, new crafting recipes, toys for the slimes, and many other stuff. I'm going to go through 7 tips that will help you in your money-making journey. Tip 1. Every slime in this game has their favorite food. For example, the favorite food of rock slimes is the horseradish. If you feed a slime their favorite food, it will produce 2 floors instead of the usual 1. There is only one slime that doesn't have a favorite food, and that's the pink one. Tip 2. This tip is mostly for the early game. In this game, you will be able to do quests for your neighbors, and they will pay you and they will give you items for completing the quest. It is usually worth doing them because they will give you more things than you are giving them. And this is a nice way to make your first few $100 that will help you to invest in new corals for the slimes and new gardens, so you can make money that way in the future. Also, when you are wandering out on the far range, you will randomly come across these crates. You can break them by shooting them to the next wall, and they will usually give you a few bucks and also a few items like food for slimes or maybe sometimes even slimes. You will also see crates with a bow on top of them. These ones will give you an ornament, which are decorative items and do not have a practical use, but look cute and nice. Tip 3. Keep largos instead of pure slimes. If a slime eats the plort of another slime, it becomes a largo. A larger slime that is kind of the mix of the 2 slimes, and this big slime will produce the plorts of both of its parent slimes if you feed it. If you feed it with the favorite food of either parent slime, it will produce 4 plorts, 2 of each plort it is capable of producing. Tip 4. In Slime Rancher, there are foods that are easier to produce on your own farm than others. Meats are particularly hard to produce, and the other one that is hard to produce are odd onions, because if you plant an odd onion, you will get a field of carrots with only a couple of odd onions in there. So a good strategy is to mix meat-eating slimes and crystal slimes that like odd onions and blink slimes that don't have a favorite food with other kinds of slimes that have a favorite food that is easy to grow on your farm. All fruits and vegetables other than the odd onions are easy to grow on your farm. Tip 5. When I play the game, I like to really automate my farm. So I use the auto feeders, the corals and the plort collectors on the corals, and I also use the drones. I usually have one drone that is set up for feeding the slimes, and I have another drone that is set up for either transporting their plorts to the plort market or transporting their plorts to the refinery link. If I already have the refinery link item, that is an item that you can put down in any part of your ranch, and if you shoot plorts at it, those will end up in the refinery, just like if you shot them at the refinery in the science lab. Tip 6. What I also do to more easily automate my ranch is I put slimes who eat the same type of food, either a fruit or a vegetable, in the same part of the ranch. And I do this because you can only have 2 drones in every part of your ranch. So you can have one in the main part, where you start, you can have one in the grotto, you can have one in the overgrowth, you can have one in the other extensions. But at the beginning, each drone is only capable of doing one thing. And you cannot give a drone the order, just feed the slimes. They can only transport either fruits or vegetables. They cannot do both at the same time. So what I usually try to do is I try to put slimes that eat vegetables in one part of the ranch and slimes that eat fruit in another part of the ranch, so I can fully automate. Later in the game, in the very end game really, you will have access to the advanced drone, which can do 2 things at a time. So this way you will be able to do 4 things at a time with drones in each of your areas. But in the beginning, it is good to have a smart layout to help you. Tip 7. Have as many slimes as you can feed. Especially in the beginning of the game, the amount of plorts you will be able to produce are going to be limited by the amount of food you can feed your slime. If you have too few slimes, they will be unable to eat all the food that you are giving them, but then you are wasting food. You could be able to keep more slimes actually, and if you have a lot more slimes than you can produce food, after a while your slimes will become hungry and grumpy and they will try to escape their corals, which is no good for anyone. I suggest you try keeping about the amount of slimes that you can feed. This has been my first ever slime rancher video. I usually do Stardew Valley videos, like this one, about how to get all the star tokens you would ever need in the Stardew Valley fair. See you next time!